Hello and welcome to another episode of Messy Magic. I'm your host, Dee Guy, and today I am announcing a new little series that I'm doing that I'm very excited about. I feel a bit geeky about it, but I am doing a series, like a mini series within the podcast called PODMAS. You may have heard of VLOGMAS, that's VLOGMAS, where vloggers, like guys on YouTube and on Instagram stories, do a daily video in December. And I saw someone talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, that might be really cool to do for the podcast. And anyway, I came up with the term PODMAS, and then I started looking into it to see if anyone else had done it. And there's not many, but I have found the term used before. So I know it is a thing for podcasters. And so I'm giving it a go. And I'm really excited because I love this time of year, and I really want to do more podcast episodes, and I thought that this might be a fun way to challenge myself and do that. So that's why I'm doing it for a bit of fun, for a little bit of creativity. I want to challenge myself and see what happens if I, basically set the expectation with myself and with you, my beautiful listeners, to have an episode coming out every day in December. I plan to do it up until Christmas Day, and we will see how we go. I hope that it might help you get to know me and my life a little bit more. And I also know that this time of year can be crazy in many different ways, in good ways and in not so good ways. And so I just want to offer you a little bit of support, a little bit of empathy, and maybe a little window into my crazy, messy life. Because maybe if you can hear the weirdness that's going on in my world, you'll feel better about yours. Who knows? And I guess also as part of that, this podcast is all about the messiness of life and the fact that we just can't expect our lives to be perfect. And I want to celebrate that. I'm celebrating the fact that our lives are messy and finding the magic within that mess. And that's why it's called Messy Magic. So welcome to my crazy little corner of the podcast world for the next 25 days. In terms of what to expect with topics, I don't have a plan. My podcast is very much off the cuff, which is really not like me. If you know me at all, excuse me, you know that I like to control things, I like to plan things, and I like to know what's coming. And I love to have a plan because I love the creativity of planning things. But this podcast is really a personal challenge for me in general. And it's also a play on vulnerability. This is something I've been working on lately over the last 1 to 2 years especially, in making myself more vulnerable and more real and more authentic. And so that's what this podcast is. I don't really plan things too far in advance. I don't write a script. Occasionally I'll take a couple of notes that I want to talk about, but usually not. So in terms of my PODMAS series, I expect there'll be some Christmas related stuff. There'll be some daily, what's going on in my life today type stuff. And then just anything that I'm picking up along the way that I think might be useful to somebody else. And generally just a window into my world and into my mind. So I hope that sounds at least a little bit interesting. The podcast episodes won't be especially long. I generally keep my podcast fairly short anyway, but again, there's no script, so let's see what happens. In terms of the topic for today, well, first of all, I wanted to just intro this mini season for December 2022. But secondly, I've been thinking a little bit about the silly season, and I've actually been thinking a lot about what I want to teach our 4-year-old at this time of year. And one of the big themes in my life, and has been for the last couple of years, is gratitude. And I honestly believe that gratitude can be a life changer, because when things are not so great, we can still find things to be grateful for, and it can upgrade our perspective without downplaying the crappy stuff that might be going on or ignoring it or setting it aside. Those things can be true and real, but we can also feel gratitude for something. So that's my take on gratitude, and it's actually a pretty big part of my life. I already do. I do a little ritual at nighttime where I take 3 deep breaths before I go to bed, and think of one thing per breath to be grateful for. I did a little episode on that early on. If you look back to the first few episodes of this podcast, I did one on gratitude. I also have a couple of Apple reminders that pop up on either my phone or my computer throughout the day to remind me to be grateful for specific things. And so I just take a moment to kind of remember those things and be grateful. And I also have a magical morning practice, which, again, there's another podcast episode on that if you're interested in what that is. But part of that is listing off everything that I'm grateful for. And I really think that the energy of gratitude has played a big role in, my mental health this year and last year. And probably even further back than that, actually. But anyway, I'm thinking about introducing a new little gratitude ritual for my family. My husband doesn't know this yet. I'll be telling him later today what I think and see what he thinks. But because our little boy is 4 and he's now sort of starting to show a real level of excitement in Christmas and this time of year, my idea is for December, all the way up until Christmas Eve, that every day we will each think of something that we're grateful for and write it down on a piece of paper and put it into a jar or a bowl or something that I set aside. It could be something that happened that day. It could be something in general that we're grateful for, maybe something that happened this year. I don't really care what it is. It's just something that each of us genuinely feels grateful for. We write it down and we put it in a jar. And then on Christmas Eve, I would like us to pull it all out and read it all back and just be immersed in a wave of gratitude on Christmas Eve. And I think it sounds like a really sweet ritual. It's not something that I've done before, but it's something I'm really excited to try with my family. I expect it won't be perfect. I expect we will probably miss days, but I'm going to do my best to make it happen. And we will see how we go. So that's the idea that I wanted to share with you today, in case it inspired something for you, whether you want to do the same thing or maybe you might get a new idea from listening to me. But yeah, I'm really interested in ways to encourage our little one to value things other than just toys at Christmas time, because he loves toys, he loves getting presents, and I know that that's going to be really exciting for him, but I want there to be other things that he's excited about as well. We did put our tree up yesterday, one day early, and he was so excited. It was super cute. And to be honest, I had a very real, very deep, very full body experience of gratitude yesterday when he was helping me put up the tree, because I just had this sudden realization that now I've got someone to help me do the decorating who's actually really into it, because my husband isn't, and that's fine. Like, he's never really been into decorating and stuff. So I've always done it on my own pretty much, ever since I left home. And I have such beautiful memories of when I was a child decorating the house and the tree with my mum. And I realised yesterday that now I have that in my own home, because he's old enough to get excited and to help me. And I actually, I cried yesterday. And then we had this moment where my son came and gave me a cuddle, and my husband was there too, and he kind of wrapped us both up, and it was just the most epic moment for me. It was so beautiful. I'll always remember it. But yeah, I didn't plan to share that with you, to be honest. That just came over me as I was speaking. But now you know me a little better, and you know what's important to me. And it was just, it's really, really special to me. And I want our son to have experiences like that, where it's not about receiving something. It's about getting excited and getting into ritual and finding things to just be happy about the season. It's not just about receiving. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful in some way. I hope that you are interested in joining me for the next 25 days of my PODMAS. I feel like such a geek, a real dork. But anyway, I'm excited about it. And I'll do my best to stick with you every day this month. And I hope you're having a beautiful month so far, on this first day of the month. And I'll talk to you again soon. Have a magical day.